The Zonai tribe will play a crucial role to the sequel of Breath of the Wild, and here's how. So really quickly, I want to give a rundown on who exactly the Zonai tribe are for those of you who may not be aware, because while their influence has shaped an incredible amount of Hyrule's landscape, it would be really easy to miss them entirely on a casual playthrough. I mean, the most notable mention of the Zonai doesn't even come from the game, but comes from page 413 of the book Creating a Champion, which was written by Nintendo about the creation of Breath of the Wild's world. This page indicates that the Zonai ruins, Typhlo ruins, and the Lome labyrinths were created by the mysterious Zonai that, according to the rumors circulating throughout Hyrule, were an ancient tribe that was filled to the brim with powerful magic users who suddenly disappeared one day, leaving only the ruins of their amazing architecture that seem to have a strange connection to the Sheikah shrines that are littered throughout the continent in their wake. So they're pretty much the Mayans of Hyrule. I mean, yeah, I actually want to dig into that idea a little bit, because associating them with the Mayans actually gives us a distinct idea of what their role could be both in the history of Hyrule, and could give us some potential insight into the premise of Breath of the Wild 2. So even though the Mayans are depicted in popular culture as having been bloodthirsty savages, probably due to their traditional bloodletting rituals that were used to communicate with their gods and ancestors, in reality, they were a civilization of highly intelligent mathematicians, scientists, and architects. Their major claim to fame, though, is the notion that one day they just kind of mysteriously vanished without a trace, leaving nothing but abandoned ruins of their vast cities in their wake. While we know now that this isn't necessarily true, this apparent mysterious and sudden disappearance is mirrored by the Zonai in Breath of the Wild, in which they're only spoken of in hushed whispers throughout Hyrule. Like with the Mayans, no one knows for sure how or why the Zonai disappeared, leaving behind all these amazing structures. All they know for sure is that they're gone. For right now, though, I really want to focus on these structures because they're what I believe to be one of the most telling signs that the Zonai were based on the Mayans. If you look at the ornate patterns that the Mayans would include on many of their structures, they are strikingly similar to those we see in Zonai structures, with the main difference being that the architecture of the Zonai is a bit more fantastical and cartoon-like. What I believe lends further credence to this Mesoamerican architectural inspiration are the pervasive animal themes within that architecture. While the Mayans predominantly focused on designs based around serpents, eagles, and jaguars, their Zonai counterparts were based on dragons, owls, and boars, which in the Zonai culture represent courage, wisdom, and power respectively, according to Creating a Champion. I think that this small detail is really interesting because not only does it mean that they were familiar with the Triforce's existence, but each of these animals have historical ties with their respective pieces of the Triforce, with examples being of the water dragon that looked over Farore's flame in Skyward Sword, Kapora Gabora, the owl that guided Link through Ocarina of Time, and Ganon's boar form, which we've seen in a number of different Legend of Zelda games, with the most notable being like Twilight Princess and A Link to the Past. Okay, yeah, I know you all probably get it. They're the Mayans of Hyrule. But what does this have to do with the sequel to Breath of the Wild? Now that we've established that there's a very strong possibility that the Zonai could have been inspired by the Mayans, and they're clearly aware of the Triforce and the beings connected to it, then I think that the next logical step is to assume that this group of magically gifted individuals probably tried to harness the power of the Triforce at some point, which in turn led to the death or perhaps the banishment of the ancient tribe. I'm sure at this point we've all heard the theory that the interlopers and the Zonai tribe are one and the same, and I'm completely on board with that idea. I mean, look at the fused shadow. It looks exactly like the rest of their architecture. But I want to look specifically at how they plan to reach the Sacred Realm and steal the power of the Triforce. And to do that, I want to look back towards Mayan culture. The Mayans believed that beneath the earth lay a dark realm known as Xibalba, and far above it lay a paradise known as Tamauchin. It is their belief that when one dies, it is simply the beginning of their adventure to Tamauchin, which starts in the dark realm of Xibalba. However, the inhabitants of this dark realm are far more likely to attempt to steal or destroy a lost soul than to help it. If one could successfully navigate through Xibalba, though, they could then find a way to ascend through the 9 levels of the underworld and the 13 levels of the higher world to reach Tamauchin. This immediately stood out to me because what if this is how the Zonai intended to acquire the Triforce? Now, I don't mean that they plan to die and through the afterlife reach Hyrule's equivalent to Tamauchin like the Mayans, but what if instead they were creating a powerful subterranean ritual ground that, when paired with an immensely powerful magical artifact, the fused shadow, they were actually the ones that opened the fissure that Demise and his legions of demons came out of in the prologue to Skyward Sword? What if this was all just a distraction for the goddess Hylia, who was entrusted to protect the Triforce by the Golden Goddesses? I mean, it would make sense. While she was concerned with Demise and his army, the Zonai would just slip into the Sacred Realm unnoticed in the chaos of war. But their plan failed because somehow Hylia and her forces caught wind of their scheme, leading to the death of many Zonai in a hopeless attempt to protect the ritual site from the spirits of light, which would kind of explain the crazy amounts of luminous stone in the caverns we see Link and Zelda traveling through in the teaser trailer. Then the surviving members were banished to the Twilight Realm through the Mirror of Twilight after having all of their powers stripped away from them. And you may be wondering, how was Hylia tipped off exactly? Well, I think that within the Zonai tribe, there was a subsect of members who were loyal to the goddess. Almost like a sleeper cell kind of deal, and once they caught wind of the rest of the Zonai's plans, I think that they rushed to alert Hylia to prevent the tribe from grasping the Triforce, and so she sent the three spirits of light to deal with them while she was preoccupied with Demise and his forces. After this, I believe that they're the ones that became known as the Sheikah that we know and are familiar with today, only maintaining the symbol of the eye with a teardrop that was visibly present on the fused shadow, which likely had some relevance to the Zonai culture, and the advanced technology that the Zonai had begun developing, such as shrines, guardians, divine beasts, the Sheikah slate, etc., etc. Alright, but what about the sequel to Breath of the Wild? Well, prior to the events of Breath of the Wild, I think that Ganondorf somehow discovered this ritual site and was in the process of using it to reopen the fissure to Xibalba when a failsafe that was put in place by the Sheikah to prevent outsiders from using this dark magic again was activated. I believe that while this mystical force couldn't hold Ganondorf's immense power completely, which is why we still see malice leaking from him, it could keep his main body from taking action. That is until Link and Zelda stumbled upon him while looking for the reason that the malice hadn't fully disappeared from the world yet, even though Calamity Ganon had been defeated by Link, thus accidentally freeing him from this magical prison. This could set off chain reactions all across Hyrule as we see what seems to be a fissure open up in the ground in the trailer, and Hyrule Castle beginning to rise into the sky. I'm almost certain that this incident will occur at the very beginning of the game, and several Zonai temples that were previously left dormant or hidden will become uncovered, spewing a plague into all of Hyrule. But that'll do it for today's video, guys, and I want to pass the question off to you. Do you think that the Zonai will be crucial to the Breath of the Wild sequel's story? Or do you think they'll kind of stay a mystery and we won't get too much information on them moving forward? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, why not liking this video, why not subscribing to my channel, and why not even ringing the notification bells, but I won't twist your arm on that one. As always, have a great one, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Later.